In today's episode of the Pathfinder Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Nick Day. He's hailing over from the folks over at Roundtable Learning, and he's the VP of Sales and Marketing. So basically, today we want to really, cut into the chase, like how Roundtable is thinking very much different about the learning experience. So I'm very curious to, learn more from Nick on that, and also, of course, how he's thinking about growth for the company. So Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So maybe give us and the listeners a quick overview. What is Roundtable Learning all about in your own words?
Sure. I'll give you the quickest pitch that I can. So our goal is to transform the way that employees learn using augmented reality and virtual reality technology. The longer piece, so that's the high level, but we have seen a shift in the way that employees want to consume training. Yet the industry has not changed that much over the last 20 years. So it's our goal to enhance that learning experience with technology, get them more comfortable, confident, and up to speed more quickly for their respective job.
Very good. So what would you say, who would be clients that fit really well into the into the profile? Like, tell us maybe a use case, like where is it being does there need to be a certain size of employees in terms of numbers that would justify a solution like that? Maybe tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's going to expand, but today I can give you some insight that most of the clients we work with are going to be the enterprise level. They have a little bit more ability to, I don't know if you want to necessarily take it a risk, but they will actually look at investing in technology as a strategic differentiator. So a lot of our clients today are Fortune 500 brands that most people know. Walmart's, Amazon's, Coca-Cola's of the world, the big brands, the blue chip brands. And they're looking at this as a differentiator to attract talent, to train them more quickly, and to upskill them. So it's probably easier for me to tell you who isn't a candidate for it, just because we see so many use cases from technical skills and things like warehouse manufacturing situations, all the way over to the corporate setting, your soft skills. So practicing role plays, diversity, equity, inclusion situations. Anytime we can immerse somebody into a role play or simulation using the technology, it's a great use of it.
Makes sense. Now, who would you say within those organizations would be the champion? Is that sort of like a head of learning and development? Does it come from the C-suite? Maybe even where does the sort of initial urge or come from?
Yeah, what's interesting is we see an appetite for this all around. In some cases, there's different groups driving it. L&D, of course, plays a big role in it because at the end of the day, it is training. But sometimes we see the door get open from folks on the operational side, actually in the respective business unit, looking for a different way to train. So nice thing is there's a few different paths to go, but certainly L&D is involved in almost all of these, as is the IT group, because it is a new piece of technology.
Very cool. And how would you say do they learn about you guys? Like, what's the journey that they're going through in order to learn about Roundtable and getting started?
Yeah, so that's been one of our, I would say, our not a struggle area, but an opportunity for growth. Because one of the things we got to do is educate the end user on the value of it. Many people today look at something like a VR headset and they may be used to it with their kids at home playing games on it. So they immediately equate it with, are my employees going to play games? So it's our job to educate them on the value of it, the return on investment for looking at implementing the technology. So a lot of it right now is education of how it can be used, relevant use cases for them, and helping them prove out a return on investment in the technology and the content.
Very cool. And in that regard, how do you think about the website? Like, what role does the website play in your mind at the very moment?
Yeah, the website's a great tool for somebody to come and without having to talk to anybody, learn and see different use cases. So we do see a lot of traffic to the website where folks will spend a good amount of time on our VR pages, our AR pages, just to learn about how the technology is being used. We have a lot of great informational resources there, whether it's blogs, infographics, and videos. We do a lot of informational videos to show how it's used. Our YouTube channel for an educational company does really well from a subscriber base, and a lot of those videos are also duplicated on our website. So the whole idea is around informing them and getting them as educated as they can, so that when they do talk to somebody on my team, they already have an idea of how it's going to be used and maybe the benefit of the technology for their business.
Gotcha. Very cool. Now I'd like to switch gears a little bit, right? We talked about what you guys are doing. We talked about growth. We talked about the website a little bit. What I'm interested in is to learn about your journey as a marketer, right? So there's so much content out there for marketers these days. Like, where do you personally feel you getting high quality information that is worth your time? Is there, certain blogs, podcasts? What do you typically, do?
Yeah, we get very focused. So we do a lot in like the supply chain space. So our team will seek out, supply chain blogs specifically. So we're always trying to dig a little bit deeper or find those industry specific type of associations or conferences or blogs that we can relate to and gather information and learn about those industries.
Very cool. As we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, actually, I would have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Let's do it.
What is the last book that you read?
Last book that I read was, trying to think about, actually, I had two going at the same time. If I actually look at my board over here, I keep track of them. So last one was a recommendation based on another podcast, was Mark Cuban's book, How to Win at Business.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was The Psychology of Money.
What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Educating on how to use VR.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, right? You have a magic wand. What's the one thing you would fix for your role as a marketer?
Somehow easier access to the end user.
Mm-hmm. And for the very last question, I'd like to basically do a little bit of time travel with you. Let's go back to the days of John Carroll, right? John Carroll University. So what I'm curious about is, if let's say you're heading out of formal education into the world of business and growth, what's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
If I could go back in time, I would probably try and see if I could come up and go to more entrepreneurial classes. I think there was a great formal education there, but when we think about the real world and business, some of those don't necessarily meet.
Yeah, makes sense. Very cool, Nick. I want to give you the very last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed today about Roundtable Learning, what's the one thing that people should remember?
Remember that our focus is always going to be on transforming the way employees learn.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Touchpoint Presents.
Thank you.